Tenemos un nombre en la presentación en términos muy generales, que se llama Biosemiótica, una introducción a un campo de investigación emergente. Vamos a hacer una pequeña introducción en torno a este tema un poco, y particularmente vamos a hacer ver un caso de estudio un poco más desarrollado. Yo soy actualmente postdoctorante del Laboratorio de Ecología y Evolución en Plantas de la Universidad del Paraíso, y estoy trabajando la interdisciplina a partir de la biología, la ecología y la estética, en cierta medida. Y el grupo de acá, que viene de la Universidad de Ilmo, de San Petersburgo, trabaja en un máster que se llama Master of Art and Science, en el área del bioarte, y ellos tienen bioarte, ¿no? Y por eso la conexión con la cosa de la biosemiótica, la cuestión de la biosemiótica. Y ellos pertenecen al área de tiene un laboratorio que se llama BioArt Lab, ¿no? Trabaja con electrofisiología en plantas, y a partir de ciertas señales o signos que la planta pueda emitir o inducir, básicamente, se hacen obras de arte o se especula sobre arte también. Okay. Entonces, la primera presentación simple es la mímesis desde la perspectiva no humana. El caso de estudio que ambos grupos estamos trabajando, tanto el Laboratorio de Ecología en Planta, la Evolución de Ecología en Planta, como el BioArt Lab, es un caso bastante particular, que es una enredadera chilena que se llama Boquilla triofala, que acá tenemos la imagen, ¿ya? De trifolio. Y la particularidad que tiene es que posee una capacidad mimética. Es decir, cuando se enreda en un hospedero, copia la forma, el tamaño generalmente, y algunas veces el color del hospedero. Cuestión que es prácticamente única. Existe otro ejemplo en Australia, pero el caso ha llamado mucho la atención. Tanto así que el año pasado el MIT sacó un premio de anti-Nobel por otros investigadores. ¿Okay? Entonces, acá tenemos alguna pequeña forma como de hacernos algunas preguntas, ya en torno a la biosemiótica, y sobre todo la cuestión de SEO, en el sentido que partimos con el análisis, ¿no es cierto?, de la zoosemiótica, cierta medida, el comportamiento animal, y a partir de eso nos introduce finalmente al mundo vegetal. ¿Ya? Entonces vendría siendo, ¿no es cierto?, una biosemiótica donde hay un signo que hay que interpretar, que uno lo desconoce, es muy difícil, porque no es un lenguaje humano. Y está el interpretante, ¿no es cierto?, y la persona que tiene que transmitir este mensaje. Entonces hay estos tres puntos de conexión que se relacionan íntimamente con PEIRCE, obviamente, pero PEIRCE trabaja con signos más bien referenciales de la cuestión humana, ¿eh? Entonces aquí hay una profundización sobre el tema. Producto de eso se vuelve un poco más complejo porque se tiene que recurrir a otras áreas de investigación, a otras disciplinas, como para poder entender este fenómeno. Entonces, una de las cosas más importantes de acá, yo diría que es el centro de la comunicación y la ciencia, el paradigma autocéntrico, en el sentido que la cosa de la semiótica siempre se fija mucho en la producción de signos y referencia humana, y eso obviamente es a partir de la voluntad humana, como nosotros conocemos, y el colapso, ¿no es cierto?, la ecología, el medio ambiente, la evolución de eso, sin tener que comprender los fenómenos del mundo vegetal o el mundo animal. Entonces, generalmente hay una brecha o un corte ahí que hay que empezar a ver, y producto de esto también una justificación para la investigación. Vamos a lo siguiente. Entonces, existe esta enredadera que está en Chile y en parte Argentina. Nosotros nos hemos ido a Argentina. Actualmente, ayer llegamos de Valdivia y estuvimos en el bosque templado y húmedo de Valdivia en 4 locaciones, y fuimos a rescatar esta planta o esta enredadera en diferentes hospederos para poder hacer herbarios. Estamos haciendo morfología geométrica también, aquí en la Universidad del Paraíso, en conjunto con una estudiante de pregrado, y la idea del postdoctorado finalmente es tratar de conocer el fenómeno que subyace en esta condición mimética de la planta para poder generar una obra de arte. Cuestión que mi compañero acá de Rusia han elaborado o especulado anteriormente sin conocer el fenómeno, o sea, sin saber cómo funciona el fenómeno, el mecanismo que hay detrás de eso. ¿No? Entonces, este modelo biosemétrico vendría siendo como un modelo explicativo, se busca tener un modelo explicativo para poder ingresarlo a la construcción de obras críticas, a esta cosa de la ecología y particularmente a las instalaciones, digámoslo, interactivas, electrónicas, midiendo señales, etcétera, etcétera. ¿Ya? Entonces, existen aquí dos condiciones, ¿no es cierto? Una perspectiva humana y, que se contrapone un poco una perspectiva no humana, ya en términos evolutivos, ¿ya? Donde, ¿no es cierto?, las especies, en términos de evolución, se van ramificando para poder adaptarse. En cambio, la propuesta de la boquilla trifolata es inversamente lo contrario, en el sentido que reduce esa posibilidad, producto que copia el hospedero, y producto de eso, esta ramificación no se abre, sino que se empieza a cerrar. Entonces eso ya vendría a ser un problema de la planta. Entonces hay un modelo evolutivo no tradicional, pongámoslo así. La siguiente, por favor. Entonces, como les mencioné anteriormente, lo que hemos hecho actualmente, y particularmente en conjunto con el BioLab, hemos recolectado de la zona de Meguín, que es un pueblito que es al norte de Valdivia, y alrededor de Valdivia, y hemos construido un invernadero en meteorología de la Universidad del Paraíso, en donde tenemos un hospedero recientemente puesto hace 2 semanas, y la enredadera para ver si efectivamente eso se puede reproducir en el laboratorio y no en el campo o en el contexto real, ¿ya? Paralelamente, yo estoy partiendo este postdoctorado, la plata, como bien saben ustedes, llegó atrasada, partimos en julio, entonces estoy como recién empezando con esto, y la idea es también generar un artículo y probablemente un libro a partir de estas condiciones, ¿ya? Y hacer una propuesta artística, solamente un borrador, da un poco el presupuesto que uno cuenta y a lo mejor los medios para poder realizar y construir este tipo de piezas, y va a depender un poco de la complejidad con cuales nos vayamos topando. Acá tenemos uno de los resultados de la planta. Lo que hicimos en un principio fue ir al terreno cerca de Meguín, y acá tenemos un ejemplo de la boquilla trifolata que se asemeja a una rayán. Si la comparamos con la hoja que tuvimos al principio, que era trifolata, ¿no es cierto?, se ve la diferencia. Entonces, efectivamente, esto sucede. Y acá hay un estudio, de hecho, también de la estudiante, en donde se presenta la similitud del hospedero, de lo que era antes, o sea, de la boquilla, de lo que era antes cuando llegó, cuando se puso, y posteriormente el árbol con que se está mimetizando. Siguiente, por favor. Entonces, aquí lo más interesante que empezamos a averiguar es que hay dos posturas en un principio: la postura kantiana, más bien mecanicista, de la explicación del mundo, ¿ya? Y el mismo año se escribe en Goethe completamente algo diferente, que los organismos vivos, no solamente los humanos, tienen una capacidad como de intuitiva para poder, ¿no es cierto?, adaptarse, que no es una capacidad como racional, pero sin embargo tiene una inteligencia. Entonces desde aquí se empieza a notar un poco, o se quiere empezar a profundizar lo que vendría siendo la temática o la justificación de este tipo de trabajos como artístico, ecológico y ese tipo de propuestas. Paralelamente se ha revisado de forma de barrido la cuestión o el concepto de la mimesis en Platón, Aristóteles, Nietzsche, Benjamin y Derrida, ya que es un concepto, como dice, polimorfo, muchas veces ambiguo, pero que se puede adaptar a este modelo y se va a empezar a desarrollar en términos de escritura también. Entonces tenemos, ¿no es cierto?, Platón, que es la causa ejemplar, por ejemplo, Aristóteles la imitativa, Nietzsche lo toma como un modelo que es ventaja evolutiva. Cada filósofo finalmente responde a su pensamiento retórico, básicamente, y lo ajusta un poco. Sin embargo, si uno mira esto y lo compara un poco con la planta y el hospedero, se podrían ajustar en términos de escritura también estas descripciones. La siguiente, por favor. También se ha pensado en que la boquila también trabaja como un umbral conceptual, en donde se puede empezar a validar o a pensar una fenomenología a partir de lo vegetal, que vendría siendo la fitofenomenología, ¿ya? A partir de Husserl, por ejemplo, pero a través de la experiencia de las plantas. Yo creo que es importante como pensar de esa forma, independientemente de que no tengamos la capacidad de ser planta, pero independientemente creo que es válido pensarlo para este problema, ¿no es cierto?, de la ecología o el antropoceno. También repensar un poco la ecología y la estética, en el sentido que generalmente los trabajos artísticos, los artistas se dicen muchas veces ecólogos, pero no lo son tanto tampoco, y trabajan con medios industriales y algunas veces lloran la carta, etcétera, etcétera, pero ser más conscientes de eso y trabajar con evidencia científica para poder producir obras artísticas es un poco el fin de este trabajo. Y lo otro es promover, ¿no es cierto?, ciertas ficciones que levanta la mímesis, sobre todo la parte de la mímesis de la planta, es decir, qué pasa, y ya hay ciertas especulaciones en donde ciertos autores han puesto la hoja de la boquila con una planta de plástico y supuestamente la duplica. Entonces no es una pues, condición bioquímica, sino que al parecer es un fenómeno más bien de la luz. ¿Okay? Entonces esto rinde una serie de especulaciones también como de representaciones mentales, como poder enganchar y proyectar un poco obras de arte. Por favor, la siguiente. Entonces, algunas conclusiones preliminares de esto es que existen diferentes tipos de inteligencia. Ya nosotros tenemos una, probablemente la boquila tuviese otro, el animal tuviese otro, pero independientemente, quizá habría que empezar a checar un poco más ese aspecto tan general que tenemos nosotros y ubicarnos en cada espécimen para poder decir o definir qué es la inteligencia. Otra cosa problemática dice que existe dentro de esta capacidad mimética una imitación y una no individuación, es decir, la pérdida del individuo, producto que está copiando al otro, y este no genera, ¿no es cierto?, un individuo propio, sino que replica el rol de los pederos, en este caso, perdiendo la capacidad de ser el mismo, pongámoslo así. ¿Ya? Y está la cuestión del tiempo y espacio, en donde la consideración en términos de representación mental generalmente es dada por una imagen en la cabeza, o si la tenemos de frente, y esa imagen es una imagen más bien estática, donde no se considera un tiempo y el espacio, o un ciclo, como podría ser el asunto de la planta, para poder cumplir esa función de la capacidad mimética y finalmente duplicarse en el hospedero. Eso es sumamente importante y se estaría evidenciando con lo que vendría siendo el acoplamiento estructural un poco de Maturana, en donde tanto el contexto como el objeto que está dentro del contexto se van retroalimentando para poder generar, ¿no es cierto?, una realidad que es más compleja de lo que tenemos nosotros en términos frontales o representacionales mentales, sino que es un ecosistema, una ecología donde todo está en juego e intercomunicado. La siguiente, por favor. Bueno, quería agradecerle, no sé cuánto estoy de tiempo.
Está todo bien.
Ya. A la profesora doctora Carmenosa, y a Bolet González, que es la patrocinante del proyecto. Este proyecto ha contado también con un fondo internacional de la Universidad Finisterra, con eso tuvimos un poco la posibilidad de viajar a San Petersburgo el año pasado y también la Universidad de Inmos nos financió el viaje para allá. Bueno, el proyecto postdoctorado a BioLab que está presente acá y a la Sociedad Latinoamericana de PEIRCE. Muchas gracias. Y ahora nos vamos a dejar con la... si tienen preguntas, si quieren las realizar ahora o las dejamos para después, porque yo creo que el otro trabajo también complementa lo que se va a hablar. Y... ¿sí? ¿Les parece? ¿Sí? Entonces, comenzamos con lo tuyo. ¿Sí? Voy a cerrar ahí. ¿Sí? If you want, I could sit here and I could pass. Okay? You tell me.
Good afternoon, colleagues, or it's not afternoon.
It's Russian time.
I'm somewhere in time. Dear colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be there and present our joint project with Ignacio Nieto and with University of Valparaiso, Finisterre University, and all the great Chilean colleagues that contributed to our joint work. Ignacio told more about our current study of Bacilla trifoliata, but we would like to present some prerequisites. So we studied before we were able to come here and see this endemic plant. We had to elaborate our concepts both from biological perspective and from artistic perspective. And we would like to present our project Plantiverse, and I will explain how it is related with the project Ignacio was told about. You can switch the slide, yes. Let me introduce our team. My name is Alexandra. I'm a biologist, but also an art scientist now, I guess. And here are my colleagues. Maria Mashenskaya is a real artist. Let's appreciate this. And they, with Veronica, which is by her first education a cultural researcher, are art and science. They graduated from art and science master's program. And our principal investigator, the cameraman, Hippolyte Mortel, he possesses a PhD in biology, and our team is like inherently syncretic as well as our studies. We are interested in plants in both biological perspective, social, cultural, philosophical, artistic, and all of them. And for us, all the questions we ask, all the purposes are connected together. So we cannot study biological properties of plants without our social, cultural, and artistic interests. And why bioartists are a semiotical congress. So let me clear the situation. There is a interdisciplinary field which is called biosemiotics, and for some biologists, it's more like about philosophy. And there are biosemioticians maybe who look at biological process more from human perspective. So they are more interested in science, biological science that has interpretation in humans and has meaning in humans. But the scheme shows that we can look at real physiological processes from both perspectives, and they don't have any conflict between each other. For example, this is an example of shade avoidance response in plants. And the first steps of this response, like there is a shadow, and shadow is basically a change in ratio of far red and red light for plant. It is like a real physical phenomenon, but physiologists will explain you this way, really. This change in ratio activates some phytochrome receptors, as the receptors for red and far red light. And then it activates the cascade of transcription factors like the P family, high 5, and so on. They are all in the same family, but they should be balanced to then regulate the synthesis of auxin, is a plant hormone, and gibberellin is like a GA, and they are just regulating the intensiveness of the growth. So plants usually grow from shadow. Most of plants are even shade tolerant, prefer light, for example. But from in terms of biosemiotic, from this perspective, we can say it in another words, and it won't ruin the concept, like the real biological concept. For example, this change in the ratio of far red and red light is a sign or the presence of another plant or some object which creates the shadow. And this sign is interpreted as a threat of light inaccessibility. And interpretation in this term really scares most of biologists. So this word usually triggers them because this word is related with all like cognitive concepts like neurobiology and higher neural activity. But in terms of interpretation, when we refer to XQ with the concept of Umwelt, is a reaction of organism that makes this sign relevant and meaningful for the organism, basically. And this interpretation could be performed even without any analogous of consciousness. And this is a crucial point in all the biosemiotic studies because we don't need to find any analog of consciousness in other organisms, for example, in plants. Because plants basically don't need like these analogs. Neural system, analogous of ganglia, and so on. And the common conclusion of all these cascades of reaction is growth, basically. And it should be balanced with other signs organisms could perceive. The next one. But the bioart could have, in this case, epistemological effect, because when we study real sign producing, like real semiotic processes in living organisms, we can simultaneously produce signs that are relevant to humans in metaphoric way, for example, because metaphors, symbols, and so on, they could be also signs relevant to us, but they could have epistemological meaning. So in some cases, in bioart attempts, the metaphors could be misleading. So when you don't refer the real problem. So basically, in our case, we should study both biological process to be relevant and find a way to build an interface between human understanding of some particular really existing sign and, for example, real existing signs of plants. For example, light and how we perceive it and how plants perceive it. And we put real biological mechanisms in it, and it's like a kind of artistic storytelling in non-direct way, not very deductive, so the viewer can interpret it the way it's accessible for him or her. The next one, please. And that way, the project Plantiverse started. So actually, it was a master's thesis initially of Maria and Veronica, and they found information about Bacilla trifoliata, but we didn't have an access to a real study to be precise. So, and we made a research about optical properties of plants. Why was it meaningful? Because Ernesto Giannoli, the first scientist who described the mimesis, proposed three hypotheses. The first of them was optical, the next biochemical, and the last one mobile genetic elements. And we do not deny any of them, but we look closer to optical hypothesis because light is fulfilled by meaning for plants. And for us also, for example, humans perceive more or less like 80% of information. You understand that it's hard to count it precisely, but there are ways to understand that for humans, light mostly perceived by optical channel, and this optical channel gives us a huge proportion of information. It could be reset due to some damages of our optical system, but still like the most normal, let's say, from medical perspective, humans, light is crucial. And for us, optical properties are usually perceived by image. So even when we are school students, when we study optics, we draw all these rays through the lens and learn how the image is constructed in our eye, in our optical equipment, and so on. But for plants also. And for example, here you can see the animation of real cells of Tradescantia exedema, and the image is focusing inside the cell. And I will tell later how we did it. And the picture, the right picture, is also canopy shyness, also type of maybe shade avoidance response. So, and this, and not only these phenomena, give us a clue that plants could somehow perceive objects. And there are data that suggest that light participates in it. Maybe not only light, but still. And also, light has a connection with morphogenetic processes. Light is crucial for plants. And next slide, please. We found really early research from the early beginning of 20th century. This was 1909. And two scientists, initially they were working in parallel, but then one of them referred to each other and they were in communication. Gottlieb Haberland, his portrait is focused in that cells. Suggests that the hypothesis of plant ocelli, like leaf lice, it was suggested as marginal hypothesis because it was perceived too literally. The hypothesis said that plant epidermal cells, not green cells, but cells on the surface, they were usually thought to be like just for safety of the leaf, like cover it from all the external actions. So these cells are transparent and work as lenses. And in some plants, they are convergent lenses, and in some plants, they are they work vice versa, yes. And in 1980s, this hypothesis was proven. And for example, shade-tolerant plants, as Oxalis, for example, and Tradescantia, and this cell was used for both this image and our images. So they collect all the possible light, and they concentrated on the layer of mesophyll, whereas the huge concentration of chloroplast is like a photosynthesis system. And some plants, for example, in South and Mediterranean, maybe you saw the surface is reflecting. It's like really hard, and you can see real reflection of the light. It's needed to avoid extrasolar irradiation, for example. But ocelli, they were ocelli because to show the optical properties, Harold Wagner, co-author of was the Haberman, used photographs. And can you imagine? It was before our like black and white film. It was a liquid collodion on a glass, and he somehow managed to focus the small but could be visible image to the cells. And we use the similar methods, so we at the same parts of optical way insert these printed images and photograph it by modern microscope. And the evolution of imaging techniques inspired us also to replicate this process and make it more interactive, because all the specimens are not long living. The next one. Yes, and my colleague will continue. So for us, this was a great idea how to represent optical properties the way which both accurate for plants and show real properties, physically proven and biologically proven, and to make it accessible for us in terms of interaction, in terms of understanding of these optical features. And also, as I said before, this phenomenon was proved, and this concentration of dissolving light has a crucial meaning for plants. So the way they perceive light is not only due to external processes, but due to their anatomy. But we are, as I said before, interested not only in biological part, so my colleague will continue about other prerequisites for our work.
Yeah, I think we should do a lot.
Yes, so I will continue and said about our concept of the project, and it's based on the phenomenon called plant blindness. It's a human tendency to underestimate the importance of flora, and like due to lack of anthropomorphic features in the plants, then their temporality, because like they perceive time not as humans, and all this lead to plant blindness. And actually we can find many examples. For example, in education, like there are students far fewer who choose biology in plants and, for example, plant physiology than animals or human topics. And we want to like emphasize and focus our project on plants and how to make kind of empathy towards the plants. And also history actually took and gave us an advice, and history all in all about animal turn. And here you can see plant turn. It's the phenomenon also that arises because of humans who started to know more about plants. So how it was started with the animal? First, it was research in scientific sphere. Then human understand that animals feels, they understand about their needs, and then they started to understand more about animals and what they like want, how we can be more ethical to animals. And the same process is starting with the plants, how we can know more about them, how we can go deeper into the knowledge of physiological process, like how actually plants, as Alexander said, perceive light, and actually the light is has meaning for plants and both for humans, and it carries many information for all of us. So yeah, we are also research about this, and there's a little example of the trend called plantfluencers. It's people who show their careness about plants, and they share not only their attitude towards plants, but also knowledge, how they take care of the plants, how they can reconstruct their life together with the plants, how they can change their temporality, how they can maybe just stop and feel and see and feel plants. And now I will give the floor to Maria.
Thank you. Hello everyone, and I would like to tell you about the implementation of our ideas. And it's important to it's important to mention that knowledge about plants can help us to make a plant turn, but plants don't have anthropomorphic features, and people don't notice the directions of plants because they live in a different temporality, and that's why it makes it difficult to be emotional about them. That's why studying plant mechanisms can help us fully appreciate them. And we are already seeing a change in the status of plants in human life. And such trend is connected with plant agency and non-human being. We also try to recognize the otherness of plants. That's how the Plantiverse project started. And we decided to explore the world from a plant's perspective and create a digital interactive installation. You can see it on the slide. It consists of a multimedia sculpture and a digital representation of plant optics. So our project is based on our study of the optical properties of plant epidermis. Such cells act like lenses. It means they can focus the image. On the slide, you can see the scheme of our research, and we conducted a series of experiments and measured the properties of the cells. This data became the basis for creating digital plant optics. We can see on another slide. Yeah. So our artistic idea started with a study of plant features, and plants are decentralized. And this is quite different from human organization. Plants don't have a single control central brain. They consist of modules, and such module principle became the basis for the installation's design. So on the slide, you can see how we make it. This is our bionic models made with a grid. So we use such models to create a puzzle-like media sculpture and build cameras into it. So the viewer can look at himself through the plant lenses and change his usual perspective of view. Thank you very much. Yeah, next slide, please. This is our email. Feel free to contact us. Thank you very much.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Bueno, no sé, preguntas.
Sí, sí. In English?
In English, please. Oh, we have Ignacio.
Thank you very much. I appreciate a lot the subject, and I'm discovering the subject and some questions, very, very easy questions. You talk about perception and agency, but no consciousness. This
Is this a question? Okay, I can answer this. Yes, maybe you heard about some interdisciplinary philosophers, biologists like Stefano Mancuso and all these people. They have a right for their view on this problem, but we believe that they're desperate, eager to find some anthropomorphic features like analogous of the consciousness is a big anthropocentrism. So it's like our little brothers, they are not so developed like us, but they also have a plant consciousness, they also have eyes and so on. We believe that it's really misleading, and both for biologists and for philosophers and people who are researching it, the plants from different perspectives.
Okay, I understand. That's why the second part of my question is you are using it's some kind of critique, but maybe I'm wrong. You are using some kind of anthropocentric notions like perception when you place your work in the biosemiotic approach. My question is, can we learn something about the way plants looks or have perception to the world? This is my question.
And why we use perception? Because, like, yes, we are stumbling on the when we try to explain how to understand the view, and then they stumble. No view, they don't have vision. So we use the word perception, but because it's more or less neutral, because there is a perception on a basically physiological level, like trigger on the receptor systems, which can obtain some signal, even in not in semiotic but in biological perspective. So even without consciousness, even in some primitive, in evolutionary term, primitive is like a primary animals. We can see that they definitely receive some signals, and some of them remained without answer, for example. And we use the words interpretation and perception only in the way of more like we can highlight signals that are meaningful or that could be perceived like physically or biologically by these organisms, and to distinguish it from other signals that doesn't have such meaning.
In the case of light, I suppose.
Yes, yes. So the light exists, like an object exists. So we can say that in terms of time, we live in somehow different time. For example, when we saw Araucaria in Santiago, Araucaria grows very slowly, and maybe for this plant, 100 years is nothing. Yeah. But in space, in terms of space, we live in a more or less similar space with similar objects, with really like light, wavelengths, temperature, gravitation, and the organisms, of course, interact with it. So they cannot not do this. But for them, like the same sign, the same stimulus is a different sign of different things. So, and that's how we try to be more accurate in our terminology, like using this approach, not anthropocentric, but perceptual consciousness and brain, but in another way, yes.
Thank you very much. I will try to express myself in English.
Okay, but maybe you can also ask in Spanish. And
It's also okay.
Well, let me try. First of all, I want to congratulate you because your work is very interesting. I have read Stefano Mancuso. Very interesting. Yeah.
It's interesting.
But my question is, what's the difference between the biosemiotics in Tartu and your lines or your purposes?
I'm not so
because in Tartu they don't make some studies like yours. They just like more speculative.
maybe because they originate from philosophic view. I remember when I studied school, we studied this like a Tartu Moscow school. Because of Yuri Lotman, for example, and for us it's very precious that such person contributed, and we can read something in Russian so accurate to understand these concepts. But now it's a Tartu school, and Moscow doesn't participate in any schools. So, sorry, unfortunately. But maybe they originated as philosophers in the time when structuralism was prohibited in Soviet countries, because it wasn't against the Marxist. Yes. And they were more like philosophers. But their concepts, I believe, they are really impactful for the whole understanding, like semiotics within linguistics, for example, and artificial languages, natural languages. Of course, they give us terminology, for example. So we use their terminology not only there, but also. But they are not biologists, and it's hard for art and scientists, for philosophers to express their ideas and to even know out like, about what I can say. Because when you don't know particularly different examples and don't see this is in nature, it's sometimes hard to find a basement for your speculations and so on. We are not against speculations really, because it's good to train the brain to reflect on some topics.
Yeah.
But maybe they are not biologists.
Mostly not philosopher, it's a metaphysical stuff.
Yeah.
Some rhetorical stuff. They don't put their hands in the experiment, they don't paint. They are always beside.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why now at FIMD we have multiple competences. So we are now all participate equally in all the research, but we have our different competence behind.
Our team is more big. We have optics, robotics here.
I think your view is better than they. Because I have
I'm flattered.
I have read more of Turkish studies, but they are very more philosopher.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe we should enter some.
but the second part of my question is, you use the term semiotic processes. I think it would be better to use semiotic processes. Because semiotic is more the discipline, and semiosis is the object of the
I will change because yes.
I think.
Yeah, maybe it's true because like semiosis, yes.
Well, if we use semiosis, we can not always, but sometimes we can not use like perception, consciousness. I think it's better using semiotic processes. This is my opinion because I use this term.
Yes, it's
We try.
Tú tienes razón. Yes.
This is my opinion.
No, maybe it was good to translate, but they translated.
Yeah. Yes, and also
We tried our best.
like I have like 3 months of Spanish and I have
But there is a Russian concept in semiotics.
yes, we also use the word semiosis.
Semiosis.
We have this.
Yeah.
Yes, so this.
Yeah, I wonder what experts do in there. What about PEIRCE?
PEIRCE.
Yeah, because we are in the first Congress.
It's interesting question. You can try. You can try.
Yeah, so I think that we not like cut anthropomorphic because we're humans, and like we still think as humans, and we try to like be closer to non-human agents, and as like far away the culture was kind of very scary thing that people want to be more safe from, isolated from the nature. But now we are all nature. We are understanding that it's all nature, and it's thanks to like philosophical views, also about linguistics and semiotic in the sphere views. Because with these like words, we try to structure our life as a humans, and also structure nature, and try to reconstruct this these two worlds too.
Yeah, I understand the explanation. It's a general explanation that works. But PEIRCE works with logic, not with perception, human perception, and psychology and so on. So I think it would be very useful to consider secondness as the beginning of the program and see how much can we think about thirdness. Because the verbal language in thirdness, symbolic level, gives you a limitation to analyze thirdness. So the systemic project of PEIRCE with the semiotic nonagon would help to understand how much I I control the whole thing.
Yes, there is a.
I will try to put something in my speech Friday, if I can reconstruct something.
Yes, it will be interesting. Yes, we are not as academical philosophers as Ignacio, for example, because Ignacio is PhD. Yes, but yes, the language for us is a limitation, and and we compensate it with art, because art is another language, not with words, and it has so epistemological processes could be either with science, within science. Science usually uses words and data, numbers, but they are still words. Mostly could be reduced to this. But art use something, another experience, and it could be the way to study to understand the object we work with, because it's another way to produce knowledge about the world. And for us, it will be, as Ignacio said, that the next step that are in production to make a paper which refers to all these concepts, for example, and to within which we can analyze this phenomenon using all these concepts of PEIRCE and, for example, like one of perspectives. Ignacio, for example, demonstrated many perspectives that were history, and as for natural scientists, for me, Aristotle is closer than this. Like to be honest, because for most biologists, philosophy is a natural philosophy. But still, as Veronica said, we used all their achievements in thinking about world. I will also use this word, but just think from different perspective. But we use this different perspective to feel and not to think. So maybe we are not so connected to peers now. When we grow up, but we will include some more like wisdom professors inside, like in their thoughts and their achievements inside. But now we are mostly about art and perceiving the world also, like not only making knowledge, but just feeling it and perceiving it in the way which is accessible for us. And for me, like again, to all this perception, consciousness, and so on, we are humans, as Veronica said. And when we refer to like this non-human agents and so on, it's we again asking what does it mean to be human? When we are speaking about non-humans, we still compare between us. But when we just feel the world and try to interact with the other, we maybe not have like structured knowledge, but we have some other perception and other perspective. So basically, I also try to express. Maybe that's all. Yes.
Yeah.
See, yeah. I find your work really interesting, very clean, aesthetically, and I want to know about your philosophical framework, because you try to relate aesthetic, nature, and other elements. So I want to dialogue about, for example, clear philosophy, about triple O philosophy, object-oriented ontology. I don't know, Timothy Morton, Graham Harman, etc. And Michel Serres, Le Contrat Naturel, science philosopher. So because I don't think your framework is too strict, have a logic insights to show us a perspective for biosemiótica. It's not so clear. And on the other hand, I'm not sure is a paradigm shift. The ways a bigger turn about land turn is just a turn. It's a paradigm shift. Maybe you must talk about Anthropocene or something, or relate conceptually more with more density. And the colleague was talking about PEIRCE. I think I'm not sure, but you're working with Maturana and Varela. Yes?
It's mostly
Enough.
Yeah, we only started to connect these parts of research.
Yes.
Yes, to answer your question, maybe I have researched on ontology, Graham Harman and Villaso. And,
Okay, no. Only because maybe the word is not perception. Maybe the word is unknown until the research takes place. Maybe it's enacted, not perceived. Remember the word, the last word, inaction? It's a different perspective. So that's a comment. Thank you very much. I love your work.
I believe that it's a really useful comment.
Yeah.
We are now only start to this fusion with more intense philosophy, yes, because we are.
But we said in phytosemiotics.
Phytosemiotics, post-human studies, etc. Yeah, so connected with the plant world, etc.
We also have an article where we emphasize simultaneously biological and optical part of our research, and how our artistic decision, like all of our approach, is reasoned by some philosophical concepts, for example, in art and in philosophy. With posthumanism, for example, with like Rosa Braidotti, like Donna Haraway, and also like why we used phygital but not digital work and not with particular biological medium. Because so why we avoid to use real organisms, for example, in our work and make a digitalization of the process of optical perception, like this optical transformation. And so we can share it, and it will be useful for us, an opinion of more academically immersed philosophers, because we are not like particularly philosophers. So your comment was really clear in this state, but now we have a extended team.
But your work is very clean because you're working with multiple perspectives. It's very complex, but you got it. Okay, you got it. Biosemiótica, we all understand, but it's difficult to present because you have different language.
Yes, it is, and also when it's artwork. All these languages are fused, so and different viewers, for example, from different backgrounds, see something for them particularly. So what they catch from this work, and in words, yes, it really was a hard work, and we all contributed to this article about this project. Yes.
And when the colleague said about PEIRCE is la meta, ¿cómo se dice?
The goal.
It's not a fixation. You have to be not every conceptual thing is a translation. So it's difficult. I know.
Yes, it's difficult, but we would like to use different views, like to estimate how different views can fit to our work. For example, because some concepts they alleviate this process of talking about this. Because some scientists already elaborated some words and some concepts to explain what we are doing. Thank you. Thank you.
Déjame que vinieran a explicar acá esa presentación.
Bueno, muchas gracias. We will have finished and don't know. There are some other presentations.
No, in this session.
No?
We have a plan after quarter.
Okay. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And a great applause for 15,000 kilometers of